welcome back. Have you managed to solve everything in the command section? I bet many of you just went ahead and did all the rest of the Swift Playground stuff, but that's fine. We'll just go through the answers for the next two parts in the command section, and we'll tell you more about the rest of the concepts that we want to cover. So first of all, if you haven't figured it out, when you're done with your current Playgrounds puzzle, you can tap on next page to go to the next page. Another way is you can tap on the sidebar. You'll notice there's a tick over here, and you can go on to the next page from here. So I'm just going to tap on next page. It's going to load a brand new page for you. There's a bunch of instructions. Feel free to read them. I'm going to assume you've read them by now if you're watching this video. And in this puzzle, there's something new. There's a switch. You'll notice up here that there are a couple of goals that you need to accomplish. One is you need to collect the gem, and the other is you need to flip a switch. All right. And there's a new command that they've introduced called toggle switch. All right. A switch might be toggle open or closed, and closed switches are off, right? This little foot icon, it's dark, and open switches are on, and the foot icon is all lit up, right? So what are we supposed to do here? We're supposed to enter the commands to move byte to the gem, okay, collect it, okay, and move byte to the switch, okay, and toggle it, and finally run your code. So I'm going to go through the answers right now. So if I were approaching this problem, I would look around and see how many steps I need to move byte to get to the gem. I think I need to move forward and move forward again, at which point I'm like, wait a minute, I can't move forward again. But never mind, let's just do things step by step. What I'd like you to get into the habit of is writing a little bit of code and running it. You can imagine if I've issued 15 commands and something goes wrong in the middle, it's going to be kind of annoying. Whereas if I write 3 commands and something goes wrong in there, I know something has gone wrong in those 3 commands. So let's do this step by step. Break it down into small pieces. So I want byte to move forward 1 step and 2 steps. I'm going to tap here. I'm not even going to type. I'm just going to tap on these, move forward, okay, move forward, and press run my code. And byte will move forward twice. And this is a great place for me to just take a look at what's going on and see what I need to do next. All right. Some of us maybe can visualize these really well, right? In your head, you kind of know, oh, I know, move forward, turn left, move forward, collect gem, move forward, turn left, move forward, collect gem, toggle switch, done. All right. Not everyone can do that, right? Especially when you're first getting started with all these. So it's perfectly fine to do it step by step. So you know you've done it, move forward twice, 1, 2. What do you need to do next? You need to turn left, okay? You need to turn to your left. So let's move it around. You can see this is byte facing forward. We want byte to turn left. Okay, so that's your left. Okay, am I pointing to my left? I can never tell because I'm recording my video. All right, so there's a handy little turn left function here. And it's also lowercase t, capital L with a bracket. Let's just tap on it. And instead of doing more things, I'm going to run my code. Right, I'm just going to run my code again. So let's start one more time. Move forward, turn left. Did that do what you expected? Because some people might think turn left will turn you to the left and move you to the gem, right? So this is one advantage of doing things step by step. So you understand exactly what each new command does. So now I'm just going to try and solve the first part of the puzzle where I get byte to pick up the gem. And I'm a little bit impatient with its slow toddling. So I'm going to just get byte to run fast. So run fastest. Okay, there we go. So what do I need to do from here? I need to move forward and collect gem. Move forward, collect gem. Let's try it out. There we go. Yay! Gem collected. What is that face? Why you give me that kind of attitude? Okay. Anyway, what do we want byte to do now? We want byte to move forward again. All right, move forward again. And I think turn left. Right, if you're not sure, you can rotate. Right, if you can't quite picture the orientation, you can rotate it first to figure it out. Move forward, turn left. All right, and then it's facing this way. I kind of like to orientate the world such that byte is facing upwards, right? So that I know forward is up and left is left and things like that. So move forward, and toggle switch. Okay, so let's see if I can remember that. Move forward, turn left, move forward, and toggle switch. Let's try that. And let's not make byte run fastest. Let's just do run faster. Forward, turn left, forward, collect, forward, toggle switch. Yay! So you might have noticed that as the code was running, you actually had no idea what was going on in Swift Playground's brain. You don't know what the current step is. And that's a little bit disconcerting to some people when you first get started programming. You're like, wait a minute, what's going on, right? There's no visual indication about which of these is currently running. If you've done any block-based coding, many of these block-based coding environments will show exactly which line is being run at any given time. The good news is you can have that happen in Swift Playgrounds as well. Here's how you do it. Tap on this again, and you can do step through my code. Let's see what happens. Okay, so now every time Byte does something, you're going to see what command is being run and what commands have already been run. This is going to be really handy later on when you have some really complex programs that you're going to write. Fantastic. Let's move on to the next task. All right. So this time around is slightly different. Instead of having a blank canvas where you fill in your code, you need to find the bugs and fix them. What's going on? What bugs? What insects? I hate bugs. All right, so we're talking about software bugs. You've probably heard the term before, right? This is buggy software. There's something wrong with this software. What's going to happen here is they're going to give you a bunch of code where there are some mistakes, right? A mistake that keeps your program from running correctly is called a bug. Finding and fixing bugs is called debugging. There's a whole story about this. If you've ever heard of the fact that computers used to be like giant machines where they had tape and everything, there was a time when they found an actual insect inside all these tape. And that was causing some errors in the program. And when they removed it, they had debugged their program. This is a true story, I think. So the code contains one or more bugs. So what are you going to do? How are you going to fix this? There are some recommendations. Run the code to see where the mistake occurs. Okay, run the code. Okay, move forward, turn left, move forward, collect gem. That seems weird. Move forward, toggle switch. Wait a minute, that didn't work, right? Byte looks unhappy. And if that didn't quite make sense to you, this is where step through your code is a good thing to try. So let's try that one more time. Move forward, turn left, move forward, collect gem, move forward, toggle switch. That seems wrong. Okay, so now let's try and solve the problem. We know that in the first move forward, Byte moved over to this square. And then he immediately turned left. I'm going to just say he for convenience sakes, right? Please feel free to attach any pronoun you want to Byte. So he turned left and started down the very wrong path, right? So let's not let Byte go down this terrible path. We actually want Byte to move forward another step before we get him to turn left. Okay, so over here, instead of just move forward, we're going to press enter and have move forward again. Okay. You'll notice that now I have a spare line over here, and that's actually okay, right? It doesn't matter how many spaces you put in between lines of code. And what I like to do is I like to segment my code into different sections using new lines. So I'm going to say this segment is me moving Byte forward 2 times. Okay, great. And then turning left. And then we're going to have a new segment where he moves forward 1 time and does all kinds of stuff. But let's do this first, right? Let's introduce one fix at a time and test it out. So run my code, move forward, turn left. Great. So I know that these 3 lines of code work. And I kind of lost track of what Byte's doing. Oh no, what's going on? Are you okay, Byte? No, Byte looks sad. All right, so something went wrong, but I know that these 3 lines of code are fine. Okay, so I'm going to look at it one more time by stepping through my code. So move forward. Okay, no problem. Turn left, move forward. That's fine too. Oh, wait a minute. Byte went right past the gem without collecting it. So this is correct as well. So this move forward is correct as well. All right. But now I want Byte to not move forward immediately. I want Byte to collect the gem. Okay. So I think we got it working. So move forward, turn left, and move forward. We know these work. And now you can use your mind to imagine where Byte is and see what he's doing. Or you can just step through your code. So let's do that one more time. So step through your code and see if it works. Move forward, turn left, move forward, collect gem. Yes, money. Move forward, toggle switch. So congratulations, you found a bug in the code and you fixed it. And I guess the really important thing about this is just making sure that you can either visualize what's going on in your code, or if you can't, and that's perfectly fine, step through your code. Try and break the problem down into smaller bits so that you can solve the problem.